The summer sun was relentless as Natalie Brooks adjusted the faded brim of her straw hat and stepped through the glass doors of Platinum Drive, the city's most elite luxury car dealership. The polished showroom glistened with chrome and high-gloss finishes, the air thick with the scent of Italian leather and cold calculation. Every car sparkled like a trophy, each one worth more than most people's homes. Natalie had walked nearly 4 miles in that blistering heat. Her old bicycle, the same one she'd ridden to work for 6 years, had finally broken down just past the bridge. But she wasn't here to gawk or window shop. She was here for a reason, to buy. Inside, sleek-suited salesmen floated around like sharks in a glass tank, only stopping when they smelled money. One of them, a tall man with manicured hair, expensive cologne, and a smug glint in his eye, spotted her instantly. His name tag read Preston Dale. He straightened his tie and sauntered over with a smirk already forming. "Can I help you, ma'am?" he asked, each word dipped in condescension. Natalie offered a polite smile. "Yes, I'm looking for your most reliable used car. Something under $10,000, if possible." Preston laughed. Actually laughed. "This is Platinum Drive," he said, waving a hand at the showroom lined with Aston Martins and Bentleys. "The cheapest thing here is a $120,000 Tesla. You might want to try the pre-owned lot across the highway." Natalie clutched the strap of her worn canvas purse. "I understand, but I'd still like to look, if you don't mind." He gave a dramatic sigh and glanced over at a young woman at a nearby desk, clearly a new intern. "Mara, can you believe this? Some people just don't get it." Mara looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Natalie's voice hardened. "I may not look like much, Mr. Dale, but I can afford a car here." "And I'm the King of England. Look, lady, we don't play make-believe in here. Security?" A large security guard appeared as on cue. Before Natalie could say another word, she was escorted out of the building, past the curious and, in some cases, amused glances of wealthy patrons. Tears welled up in her eyes as she walked back down the hot sidewalk, her pride bruised more than anything else. She felt foolish, humiliated, but most of all, furious. That evening, her husband, Greg Brooks, returned home from a business trip, suitcase in one hand and a bouquet of wildflowers in the other. Natalie sat silently at the kitchen table, her cup of tea untouched. He noticed her expression immediately. "Nat, what happened?" She told him everything, every condescending look, every dismissive comment, and the final humiliation of being thrown out like she didn't matter. Greg's jaw clenched. A former mechanic turned tech mogul, he had built his company from scratch with grease under his nails and sheer will in his heart. He hated arrogance, especially the kind that targeted people based on appearances. He took her hand gently. "Don't worry, I've got this." "Greg," she said, eyes wary, "it's not worth it." "It absolutely is." The next morning, Platinum Drive was buzzing with high-rolling customers and glittering attention seekers. Then, without warning, a black Maybach with custom trim and bulletproof glass pulled into the lot, commanding silence. Heads turned. Phones came out. This was someone big. The door opened and out stepped Greg Brooks, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, his presence commanding, his eyes sharp and cold as steel. Mr. Huxley, the dealership manager, rushed forward. "Mr. Brooks, what an honor. We've read all about your company's IPO last year. Welcome to Platinum Drive. What can we do for you today?" Greg didn't smile. "I'm here to speak with Preston Dale." Preston emerged from his corner office, all charm and perfect teeth, clearly excited. "Mr. Brooks, I'd be thrilled to—" Greg cut him off with a single glance. "You threw my wife out yesterday." He blinked, confused. I'm sorry?" Just then, the passenger door of the Maybach opened. Out stepped Natalie Brooks. She wore a deep blue silk dress that complemented her features, her hair styled nightly, eyes calm and focused. But it wasn't the clothes. It was her poise that stunned the room. Mr. Huxley paled. Greg stepped beside her and wrapped an arm around her waist. You humiliated her because she didn't look like your type of buyer, because you thought her worn-out shoes told you everything about her worth. The showroom was silent. Preston tried to recover. "Sir, I had no idea." "I'm sure you didn't, but your job required more than appearances. It required decency." Greg turned to the manager. "I'll be buying 2 vehicles today. That one," he pointed to a metallic gray Bentley SUV, "and that one," he gestured towards a sleek electric sports car in the corner. Preston's eyes lit up. 2 sales, 2 massive commissions. "But," Greg said sharply, "Preston isn't getting a cent." He turned to Mara, the intern who had stayed silent the day before. "She gets both sales. She saw what happened, she knew it was wrong, and she has more integrity than your senior rep." Mara's eyes widened. "Me? Sir, thank you." Preston looked like he'd been punched. "Mr. Brooks, you can't just—" Greg looked at Mr. Huxley. "Either he's fired or I take my business and all the partnerships I influence somewhere else, permanently." There was no hesitation. "Preston, clean out your desk." As security escorted a stunned Preston out the same door he'd pushed Natalie through, a wave of poetic justice washed through the room. Natalie glanced at Greg as they signed the papers. "You didn't have to do that." He smiled. "Yes, I did." The world needs more people who value character over clothing. They left together, not in the new car, but back in their old, dented sedan. Back at the dealership, Mara was offered a permanent role in mentorship under the general manager. She accepted with tears in her eyes. And as for Preston, he was last seen applying for a job at the very used car lot he had mocked. Natalie still used her bicycle when the weather was good. She'd gotten it repaired, rust and all, because to her, the car didn't matter. But dignity, that was everything.